family business
Yeah.
connections, which is something we all
That's true, actually. We do all have family business.
And then also the fact that we've talked about having children in the past. I didn't know whether you had young kids, but Matt says you had. So I thought, well, there's a...
Yeah, me and Seth we have kids one after the other.
We did. We were pretty much. Well, you always got in there a few months before me.
Was I first?
I think you did. You were just a few months before on each one.
I thought Ralph was before Izzy.
No. Izzy was
that
first.
the wrong way around.
Yeah. And then I got married first, then you got married, and then Fee. Then you were expecting, and then you said, "Come on, Sed, catch up."
Because I was working at Wells when I had Izzy and Jasper as well.
And Jasper as well.
Because then I had Jasper, and then how many months was it? And then it says, "I'm having Bear."
And then Bear came along. Actually, probably a similar. About 6 months later.
Yeah. Because it's funny, every time I would say to Sed, "Oh, Fee's pregnant," Sed would be like, "Oh, well, Marine's pregnant." It's quite funny.
Set a trend.
Yeah. Keep it up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
That was it.
But for some reason I had it in my head, and it's just because my memory's crap. And that you had Ralph before Izzy.
No, I just copied you each time.
Yeah.
And then you stopped and I stopped.
Yeah, well, the second one kills you. Firstly, I was like, Izzy was like a dream. No, I hope Jasper never sees this video. Jasper was, God blimey, Jasper's hard work compared to Izzy. I don't know who you like.
Boys versus girls.
Yeah, because you got two boys.
Yeah, two boys. Yeah, they're wild in their own way. Because what have you got? You've got two boys.
Yeah,
two boys. Yeah.
What ages are they?
One's 5 and one's 1.5. So they're young, but
you're at the early stages.
The second one's just hard work. I think because ours is there's a little bit of an age gap, but it's just you get to a certain age when they start. You can sort of leave them on their own almost. Not on their own, but people will take them. You don't have to watch them all the time. So you get a bit more comfortable and you start to get a bit of your life back. And then you have another one and you're like, oh no, what have we done?
Because you've gone straight back to nappies, haven't you? That's like, because Fee was saying the other day, she was saying, oh, maybe we should have one more. And I was like, oh, no, like literally I can't imagine going back, because Jasper's like 6. Can't imagine going back now to nappy stage. It's like, I don't know if I could do it. But.
You kind of forget if you leave it long enough. I think that was my problem when we found out we were having another one. I was like really excited again. And then since it happened, it was kind of like, oh yeah, I remember all this now. It's really hard.
And you just, you sort of adjust as they grow, don't you? So it would be very hard to go back, I think, to that newborn stage. Although I like the newborn stage.
If you suddenly come and tell me that Marie's pregnant, I'm going to have to have a word with Fee. I'm not having that. Like, can't beat me.
We're falling behind.
What about for you guys being on the island? You've been here for like working 40 years. I mean.
38 years I think it is.
Wow. How did it come about?
Because there was it's in fact my wife's father set up the company, John, and he was working for Elliott's. He used to do oil and gas work down in Cowes, in the Dean Village there. They got made redundant, and then they set up their own drawing office. And we moved out. They've been in the same office. It's right by the floating bridge. It's a building on stilts, the Cowes side there. And we moved out there in 2017. So basically, there was still work that needed to be done for Elliott's, but they couldn't afford to have them working for them, so they set up their own company. So
it's taken that step, isn't it? It's like
they were very fortunate in the fact that they could see how things were progressing. So when they started, everything was on the drawing board. And then they saw, the merit of using 2D CAD. So they were sort of first people to use that, and then also the leap to using 3D modelling software program. So they were always sort of a bit ahead of the time. Could see where it was leading.
Where it was going.
Hence, why we've been around for so long.
It's amazing to be. That's what I find, especially in the current situation with COVID. Like everybody's saying, this is the worst thing we've ever seen. But there's all these businesses like yours who've been through 2, 3 recessions, financial crisis, all this stuff. So it's like, how do you I mean, how do you get through those moments, I suppose, is the thing. You know, that's wonder what the advice is there in terms of businesses that have been around for as long as you guys have. How you know, 'cause we're a young business, and we're okay, but it's always good to find out from others, like what tactics, what you know, what
for
can you
us
do?
it's slightly different because anyone that's been there, you know, prior to 2017 in terms of the board and stuff, they're not there anymore.
Okay.
So we're facing all these challenges with sort of fresh eyes and with no real experience. Obviously you can ask people, but I think in some sort of sense we are very lucky because we're used to these sort of high and low periods anyway. If we treated this as a low period, we wouldn't necessarily have to change what we're doing. Although saying that we are client driven, so we're still waiting to see how our clients have really been affected before it affects us. So,
It's funny, isn't it? I think for us, it's been the ability to adapt, I guess, and have things in place. And so, it's quite interesting when we look at kind of patterns as to what's happened with our business. So, when traditionally, and this doesn't always happen, but traditionally, if there's a recession, the stove side of the business tends to pick up, and we've found that quite often that will tie in with oil prices. So you can see oil prices shooting up, and so then people think, oh, I'll buy a wood burner because I'll save my money on the oil. And then there's that sort of whole feeling of like, maybe I should become a bit more self-sufficient, just in case it all really does hit the fan. And perhaps I'll put in a wood burner because then I know at least I can source my own wood, and it's that kind of thing. But I guess it's interesting to look at those patterns over the years because at the moment, who knows what's going to happen at the moment. At the moment, stove sales have gone a bit crazy because
people are at home as well, and there's
building outdoor offices as well.
They're worried about a winter lockdown, and they think put in a stove, and a lot of our installers and dealers, they can't fit anything before Christmas at the moment because they're just chock-a-block. But we don't know where it's going to go. But I guess it's that ability to adapt, and certainly during those early days of lockdown, we suddenly found the signage side actually picking up because suddenly everybody needed social distance signage, and we were printing kind of floor stickers that said to keep 2 meters apart, and we made hand sanitizer stations.
I saw that you did some like fire pits. The globe thing. I really like that. I like looking.
Well, that was actually
that one you put together yourself.
Yeah, that's
thing.
right. The one that you build yourself, because that actually came out of diversification as well. Because we were obviously coming into spring, and stove sales kind of dropped off completely. Lockdown hit, and everyone was thinking, "Crikey, I'm going to be at home in my garden. What am I going to do?" And then our dealers were phoning up, and they were saying, "Do you make a fire pit? We are selling out of barbecues, we're selling out of fire pits. Just make us anything." And we had this thing on the side for a while. It's always good to have a side project. But we'd in development, they'd come up with this idea of a fire pit and then turning it into a ball to make it less smoky and less and a bit more efficient. And then suddenly, so that little project was actually born very, very quickly, and we were trying to make it in the most cost-effective way. So we thought, right, let's make it flat pack. Let's get people to build it themselves.
It's like an IKEA Charnwood stove.
And it's that joy and that satisfaction of actually building something yourself.
How long does it take to put together?
I built that.
How easy is it to put together?
How is it? Very easy.
Is it?
It takes about half an hour to 45 minutes.
That's what it says on the instructions.
For a pro that's probably got quite a few of them.
To be honest, I've built two, and Ralph built most of the second one.
Wow.
I did
them trained up
a little bit of a hand, but he's 8 years old. He did have to wear a pair of gloves because it's raw steel, so you want to make sure you protect your hands. But it's incredibly satisfying to make, and then we launched them, and then we did a promotion on Instagram over the weekend, and then we sold out almost straight away, and so we had to very quickly get more cut. But well, they're slowed down now, obviously, because it's now.
Everybody's got one.
Yeah, it's got. now they want a room.
They last like 50, 60 years or something, don't they?
Yeah.
Now that everyone's moving inside, they're looking at the
the real stage, the ones that cost a little bit more. But so it's sort of So it's been. I guess it's being able as a company to be quite reactive in times of when times get a bit tough. If you can be reactive and have a go at things.
And you've got that plan, I suppose, being that you've done it. This happens. This is our sort of plan, I suppose, because we've done it this many times, And you've got your board has been around. They've all been in that business. It's all family run. They've all been there for forever, haven't they? John and Hugh and Wall and everybody's. So you've kind of got that stability, I suppose, as well.
I suppose that's it, and we bounce ideas off of each other as well, because sometimes we might have silly ideas that will go nowhere, and so it's good to be told.
Talking about you saying about Instagram, I had someone apply for a job for a graphic design or web design job, and we sort of asked them about who they follow, what they inspirations are, and it's so funny because he said, I don't really follow, but I do follow this guy called Sed Wells on Instagram, and I really love his pictures and stuff. I thought, I know Sed Wells. And I looked at your Instagram, it's quite nice actually. You do have those snazzy, nice shots all the time.
Bunch of filters and doesn't really reflect my life at all.
It's one of those ones that this is how you could live. It's good though. I looked at it and thought, you have got a really good Instagram account. I have to get you to do some of my social.
I think with Instagram though, because I find that since being in a business, I guess a lot of my job still is creative, but it's sort of taken up with admin and other things, and so I find that I sort of need a creative outlet, and I don't know, I think I've just found Instagram to be quite accessible and quite easy, and something that I can do at 5 o'clock in the morning.
That's true.
Under the bed covers.
Those shots didn't appear on Instagram. It's funny because now I sort of realise, you're saying about you end up doing a lot of admin and stuff, and when I was working with Sed and marketing department, it was always like, we'll get something out, and there would be Sed's desk would be like just mountains of stuff, and then my desk would be nice and clean and tidy. And now I'm like doing this sort of role of creative director or sort of thing. My desk is an absolute pigsty, because I always used to say, look at your desk, Sed. Look at all this mess everywhere. And I'll be like, have you got to this bit yet? Have you got to this yet? No, I haven't got. I'm doing this. Now I sort of think, I can see why.
I always have these two sayings. An empty desk is a sign of an empty life, and a messy desk is a sign of genius. So that's what I live by.
I'm writing them down.
Mine's completely messy, so I'm pleased that they said that.
Yeah,
there you go.
And when I do tidy it, it usually goes into a drawer, and then the following day I have to take it all out again anyway, because I'm looking for something.
It is funny, isn't it, how things sort of change around. I remember, that's so weird. I've got my boss in today. I was going to say that I've got Dan and I've got my boss. It's so weird. And I always say, Sed is the best boss I've ever had. Like full stop. No, seriously.
Well, that's very kind.
He's
but I don't,
No, because it was when I left, setting up that business. It's just to try and better myself really, but I wouldn't have left Wells otherwise, because there's no reason to leave it. They're such great people, and I always say you're the best boss I ever had, so I get emotional about these things. I know we had that office opening, I was like, good to see you. But it's weird because it's like there's such a great business, and I just wouldn't, other than the fact that I wanted to try something myself, I think I would never have probably left.
I think we've had a couple of staff members like that have loved MedTec, but they may have been offered positions somewhere else, and they may have turned it down in the past, and then they're sort of thinking to themselves, should I have done that? And after a while, you want people to stay, but you don't want them to sort of stay and sort of have it in their mind that maybe you should have tried something else.
See, for me it was just like I just wondered if I could do it and if it would work, and we've been quite lucky, I suppose. But it's it's a funny sort of thing because I still do miss parts of Wales.
It can't always be luck, can it? I'm sure that we've had a talk about this on the ferry before.
Oh, really?
You're making your own luck.
Yeah, no, that's true. I suppose.
You've worked hard to get to where you are. It's not.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Luck.
That's the thing you don't account for actually when you say, "Oh, I just set up a business." Is how hard work it is, to actually drive that forward and like constant work all the time and just never seem to stop. We've had discussions about that in the past.
Yeah, well, ours is a family business, but it's not something we chose to set up. We didn't say, right, same with you didn't say, right, I'm going to set up this company called AJ Wells and we're going to do this. No. So I don't think it's a case of, because certainly passionate about it, but certainly when you come into it, it's such a steep learning curve. So when we took over the company in 2017, it was kind of like, there's MedTec, there's no sort of rule book, good luck, and see how you get on. So there's so much to adapt to, and you don't realise how much extra work goes into things. And, with these piles of paper and stuff, that's just standard now, isn't it?
That's true. I can never really have imagined how difficult it actually would be to set up your own business.
It's no sort of going home at 4:30. It's like, let's get done now. It's kind of...
seriously full on. But
it becomes part of your life, doesn't it? It becomes and in a good way. And I think you have to make sure it is a good way because obviously family is really important and relationships are really important. But it's but I think when you left, you planned it. You planned it very well. And you got it.
It was really funny. Well, because not funny, but when I went, I was like, really, I didn't really want to say it. I was like, I have to tell Sid I'm going to have to go. And I have to go, and I was like crying. I don't have to leave. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. But they were so understanding.
It was really hard because we didn't want to lose you because you were very hard working and you'd done a very good job.
What can I say?
Brilliant. And I remember,
that's why I brought this conversation up.
And I went to the other directors and I just said, I can't believe it. Matt's leaving. He wants to leave. And they all said, is there anything that we can do to get him to stay? I was like, no, I've tried. but I think, we felt, it's very difficult when good people move on in a business, but actually what we felt was you put your mind to it and it was actually the best thing for you to do because I think it was, you were looking beyond and you were looking for your family, your own life and actually it was a really good, you went, it was a good age to be doing it, you were still fresh, you still are fresh,
wow.
But,
see wrinkles now.
All these ideas. And actually it was great to have actually been part of your journey and to have worked with you and then actually, and it's funny, isn't it, the things that you learn when you work in a business, it's sort of, I remember looking after a cake shop in Cambodia for 8 months and thinking I'm a diabetic, what am I doing looking after a cake shop? And then it wasn't until about 5 years later that we started doing cake, we started doing this sort of cake thing at the festivals where we give out free tea and cake and actually that experience that I'd had running the cake shop all those previous years suddenly came into its own at festivals and it was sort of and so I think these things are the experiences that you have in businesses, they always sometimes at the time you sort of think, what was that all about, but it always comes into its own later on.
No, I really appreciated the support and that you guys showed me because I didn't want to go other than the fact I wanted to try it and see if it would work. But it was nice to know that you guys were all there to sort of support us and help us through, and you did, and I really appreciate it for sure. And but no, it's just one of those moments. You sort of it's like a bittersweet moment because you don't want to go, but you kind of think I've got to try it. Otherwise, I'm gonna what have that what if moment.
It might be worse if you don't actually do it. You continue to work and it's always playing in your mind. And it's great that we've managed to keep the relationship and stuff, and we've had events together and stuff like that.
Definitely.
And I've always appreciated the support. But he always gives good support to all businesses anyhow. But
well, it's good, isn't it? It's always the thing. Yeah, businesses, it is all about relationship, isn't it? And the relationships that you build with people, and the kind of the people that you connect with. And it's and it's interesting because since you've gone off and set up Brightbulb, it's actually. I don't know. You've introduced us to other people, like Dan, and it's just it's all those connections.
Well, that app I've not seen. So is that something the doctors?
So it's on. So it's like a little cannula that goes into my arm, and then it's got a Bluetooth chip in it that then so my phone can read it. And what it does is it takes a tiny bit of. It actually takes the reading, not actually from the blood, but from the something around the blood. So it gives you, it tells you how much glucose you've got in your blood at any one time. But that's not really the big control thing. Is the food that I'm eating. So I don't eat any carbohydrates. I just eat proteins
and that's all part of the keto
and that's
diet.
all part of the keto diet. So I stick to the keto diet. So I used to be, I used to take as a type 1 diabetic. So I used to have 4 injections a day of insulin. And the way that but insulin obviously it converts any carbohydrates you eat into energy. So you get all your energy from eating carbohydrates. But as a result, you have to take insulin to balance it out. So there was a doctor that developed this method. Well, actually, I say he developed it. It's been around for years, but he kind of really brought it to the forefront. But he'd been a diabetic since he was sort of 7 or 8 years old. He became really ill during his 20s and 30s. And almost to the point where he almost lost his sight because his blood sugars were running so high. And he sort of worked out that if he didn't eat carbohydrates but could get his energy from elsewhere, then he wouldn't need to take insulin, and his blood sugars could sort of level out. So so he developed this method of kind of getting all of his energy purely from fats and proteins. And he's now in his, so I don't know how to explain that well, but he's now basically in his 80s, and he's as fit as a fiddle.
Really?
And he reversed all of his effects, so he got his eyesight back.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
His feeling in his...
I just thought it was a weight loss technique, because I know people on it just to lose weight, not necessarily because they've got diabetes or anything else.
A lot of people are. A lot of people do use it to lose weight because you shed weight very quickly on it, because really, although you're eating fat, you're burning it all off because you're using that as energy. And so, so people will lose weight incredibly quickly. Like in the course of the 3 or 4 months, I've lost about 2 or 3 stone.
I was going to say, you look like a rake at the moment.
Slip
through the floorboards.
I don't know quite what I've done wrong, but I do feel like
you've lost loads of weight. Not saying you're a big one. Not saying you're a massive, but no, you're like. You can tell that. I could tell when you walked through the door here. That was like, wow, you've lost loads of weight.
I think I lost about 3 stone in total. I haven't weighed myself recently.
You're quite tall as well, aren't you? So you kind of you always used to pass it off like because you always look like normal sort of size, I suppose.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
now you sort of really lost a lot of weight.
But I feel a lot better on it.
That's great. Yeah.
If nothing else, it's just purely because my blood sugars are just level.
Yeah.
They're not kind of going up and down all the time. But I sort of feel kind of clearer in my thinking, and I don't feel so foggy. I used to feel very, I think because my blood sugars were going up and down all the time.
Yeah.
I just feel very sort of hazy a lot of the time.
Yeah.
It's funny how diet has an effect on that sort of stuff and your well-being and your mental side of things as well.
I've always just been, I don't think I've really gained or lost weight for years. I don't know, I just sort of just stayed the same size. It's a bit annoying for people because I don't particularly eat healthily. It's terrible really, I don't particularly eat healthily. I just my metabolism seems to burn it really quickly. So, but yeah, it's just a lot of people quite annoyed about that fact. But I'm sure as I'm hitting closing in on 40, that's going to change.
Yeah, it's all downhill.
Everybody keeps telling me your metabolism's going to slow.
How old are you?
I'm 37. Yeah, so I'm not far off. But how old are you?
I'm 37, but it's my birthday this week.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you're a bit older than me then. Yeah.
Wow.
And we can't mention your age then?
No, I feel ashamed now. No, what am I? 43, but I'm going to be 44 next month. So, yeah.
Once you get that old, you just forget the age, don't you?
Get the
Get the
age, yeah. So it comes down to this creativity that happens on the island. There's just sort of, don't know, it just seems to attract creatives and attract amazing ideas.
Yeah, no, it's good. See what the island's about. It is a very creative island. There's so much going on here. It's like when all the festivals come over here, and it's like it becomes a bit of a party island, and it's not so much now. But it's nice that we can, where we live in this place that can, have all of that creativity across the board, and great businesses as well. That some amazing business, like the Gurrits and the Vestas and GCAMs, all these massive businesses as well. Technology businesses and all these hubs of engineering and stuff. It's quite incredible, really, what comes from the island. I'm always amazed. It's this little company on the island that produces these underground signs, or this 3D printing and all this sort of stuff that goes on here. It's just incredible, really, and it's all from the Isle of Wight. I mean, people sort of think of it as a, I've had people say to me before when I was living in London, I was like, do you have roads on the Isle of Wight? What?
My uni friends are forever taking the mick out of it, but then we've just moved house, and I just get to walk out my front door and I'm sort of looking at the sea. I just think, obviously you don't get this every morning. So
you live in East Cowes?
Yeah, I live in East Cowes. We just moved into. Well, it was quite a famous house actually. It was called the Shell House, and I think they used to do tours and stuff there. The house was covered in shells at one point.
Where's that?
Right. It's in Cambridge Road. It's by the seafront.
Okay.
It's the whole thing was covered in shells, and there's a link there to Osborne House, as well as the guy that lived there punched one of the princes because he kicked over his bucket of shells or something. Anyhow, it's something along those lines, but we're renovating it at the moment. So that's been.
How long have you been in there for?
A year, just over a year now, I think.
Is it listed in any way? Or is
No, it's not. But there's a big shell mural of a ship on the side of the house, and we're looking to try and restore that. So it's not listed, but because of the history there, we'd like to. Well, we've got enough shells, I think.
Okay, I was going to offer to go down the beach for you.
Well, you can do. We can always take more. But yeah, we want to restore that and put make good the painting that's there as well. Just because of the history of it, it's really interesting.
I've not heard of that place before.
We've got a good Instagram page actually.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Better than said.
Called the Shell House.
We'll be soon. Amazing.
That's happening a lot, isn't it? Instagram pages for people doing up their houses.
Yeah, it's been quite good for us. I don't. It's my wife that does the page. I just am the subject for some of it. Yeah. I've really enjoyed.
I've seen that a lot.
Renovating houses and stuff.
It's amazing, isn't it? I love Instagram for that. In that it kind of unless you take it too far and document everything, but it's a really nice way of documenting something, isn't it? Sort of like so you can look back at that account, I guess.
Yeah, I don't really look at it very often, but I did have a look the other week and thought, I forgot we did that. Or look at the state of how that was and where we are now with it.
Yeah. My brother-in-law's doing
similar.
similar.
My friends from like uni or that don't live on the island, that don't see it. They're like, you've been busy for this past year or something.
It'd be fascinating, wouldn't it? Because I mean, people that have these accounts, if you were to ever sell that house, say in 15, 20 years' time, and then people will be able to look at it and that whole sort of documentation of how it's kind of grown from this to this. It's going to be amazing in 15 years' time, I'm sure.
It's quite funny actually, because we joined a few sort of heritage sites, and they were always mentioning about this house. And, we live here now. the moment actually, and they're always asking for sort of pictures and stuff.
That's pretty cool now, actually. I didn't realise you were in such a famous house down.
Well, you'll have to look at the Instagram, the shell house, and then
let me
see
know.
the pictures of it.
Good to let me know that.
I'm going to get on it. I've got to see this.
Will it be as good as Sed's Instagram? That's the other thing.
Well, I don't know.
People are literally referencing Sed in CVs.
I'll tell my wife, I'll say, look, we're going to have to up the game here now.
Yeah, last year we had 3 vehicles, about 10 of us going around, something like that.
Wow.
This year we're going to see what happens really.
You've got more staff this year.
Yeah, we've got more staff now. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they're all very excited about the prospect of. No, actually, do you know what? It was one of the things they said they loved the most last year was the Mince Pie Marathon. Because I said, what was your favourite thing this year? And someone pick up on different projects and stuff. And it's Mince Pie Marathon. It was so fun. Like as much as it was absolutely a killer, like literally drained us to bits because like we were putting mince pies together at like 1 o'clock in the morning, like trying to get everything organised and trying to figure the route out and all this sort of stuff. Next day we were out at like 6 in the morning starting the hover travel and that. And it was torrential rain towards the end, so we all came back completely soaked. But they all said like it was the best experience. But it raised money for charity at the end of the day, and it was a really fun experience.
I was thinking the other day actually, doesn't it seem like a lifetime ago that we were at the Isle of Wight Radio
Awards? Yeah.
And that was just before
that was February, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was pretty much a couple of weeks in, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That seems
like
so
like
much
years
has
ago.
happened since.
Yeah, no, it's been because you picked up an award there, didn't you? With your it family business? Was that family business of the year? Yeah.
That's the first award we won actually.
Oh, was it? Yeah. Oh, of
We
course.
never really did awards, but I think it's important to, I think, sing and dance about what you do here, and especially if you survive so long in business and make people aware of it.
Yeah. That was a good one to win as well, family business. Yeah, it's not. But it's a good. It was a really good night that was actually because it's the first time I've ever been to that. Because I've been to the Chamber Awards a lot, and ones on the mainland are usually run by the papers and stuff. But that was the first one I've done of Isle of Wight Radio, and it was quite different actually. It was a bit more chilled out, wasn't it? It was a bit more like relaxed.
It seemed like a bit of a party.
Yeah, a bit more of a party because sometimes it's quite. Strict sort of, thing. You sit down, you have your meal, all black tie and stuff. But it was quite chilled out, wasn't it? It was a really good laugh. But because we were up for customer service and we didn't win that one.
You got overalls?
We got overall instead. Yeah.
Never mind.
Because we didn't get the customer service one, we just started drinking. We're like, let's drink. And then by the time the end of it came around, they said our name. We were like, oh no, we've got to stand up now. And we're all a bit like, oh. Yeah, well, guys, it's been lovely having you at the table, I must say. It's been good.
Thanks for inviting me.
Very kind.
It's been good. I think it's flowed quite nicely, isn't it? And it's food's good. So that's nice.
Food's lovely.
Yeah, don't know. It's good to catch up with you guys, isn't it?
I do miss meeting people face to face.
I know.
One thing with all of everything that's been going on, I don't like using Zoom and stuff.
Gets a bit.
It just gets a
It's a bit much, doesn't it?
I mean, on one hand, it does
Saves
save
time.
so much time. Where you travel to a meeting, you can now just do meetings in. But it does get tedious.
Yeah. Sometimes I just if I'm in an overall thing, I might just turn the camera off and just go make myself a sandwich and come back. I'm back.
Yeah,
like one of the big event ones. So you're not noticed as if you're not there.
Yeah.
Because it's just you're right. It's quite nice in that way that you can do that and actually go on. I need to go to the toilet. I'll just quickly turn the camera off, run down, come back.
Grab a coffee or something.
Yeah. But
it's sort of a brilliant little cartoon of and it had a picture, sort of a bird's eye view of the room, and it was. It's captioned "My Zoom Corner," and the corner was immaculate with a nice picture and a lampshade, and the person was all dressed nicely from top half, and then the rest of the room was just a mess. And they were just in their slippers and boxer shorts.